Hi everyone, this is Safira again, and today we're gonna have a secret conversation about the continuation of Banana Fish anime. Some of you in my latest reaction of Banana Fish told me that I needed to check the manga, and I just realized that Banana Fish was actually not an original project, but it was based on the manga and it was published in the 80s. I have no idea, I had zero idea about that. So thank you so much for telling me that it was actually from a manga. The first one called Angel Eyes, and it was sad when Ash met Shoro for the first time when he was still a kid at that moment. And I do believe that it was also the very first moment when Gulzin wanted to take Ash under his wing, and he kind of wanted to test whether Ash is worthy enough of his investment both in knowledge and money. And yeah, so Ash basically sent into prison because he murdered 4 people at the time, and Shora was assigned to look after Ash because he was kind of the leader of the prison, the section. He was a leader of that certain section in the prison. Yeah. So I don't have much thing to say regarding this chapter. I just love that finally I could see Shota again, and I was completely surprised that he was bald at the time, but he was still as cool as ever though. So yeah, and since Ash was already a beautiful kid at the time, a lot of prisoners went after him and wanted to make him their bitch, quote unquote, but Ash didn't give a shit about it. But later on, those fights between prisoners did bothers him, and then he kind of wanted to fight back, and then he said if he want to fight, then he didn't have to be their bitch. So he intend to fight with them with murderous intention, and that was really dangerous for the prisoners, not for Ash, because we know Ash was already skillful at the time. And Shota realizes that this kid didn't have what it takes to hold himself back. So Shota kind of got involved into the fight and told Ash to hold back, and Ash thanked Shota because he finally learned how to hold himself back. And at that moment, I believe sparked this relationship between Ash and Shota, and I think that is really really beautiful because in the anime we know that both Ash and Shota, they're really good friends, they're best friends even, and everyone in the gang knew that both of them are best friends, they're like this, but we didn't really know where the friendship began. And I believe this moment inside the prison was the one that sparks their relationship as a friend. And then I remember Ash told Shorter something like, oh my god, this is really hard. People who assault other people, they only wanted to show that they have power. Since Ash didn't have any power inside of the prison, he learned really fast that he was at the bottom of the food chain. At that time, Ash was still a kid, probably 12 to 14 of age. I don't know exactly his age at the time, but he already mature. He's more mature than anyone around his age, and Shota realizes that. So Ash gained the respect from Shota since that moment, and I think that's really really beautiful. And also the title Angel Eyes, because the appearance of Ash kind of reminded Shota with the picture of an angel in the Christmas card, and he said that that angel was really beautiful, and Ash as well. and yeah, he really is beautiful. And then the second chapter from the after story, this is the real after story of Banana Fish. It was set 7 years later after the death of Ashlings. AJ is now 28 years old and he's living in the US along with Shing. And then Shing was a businessman, if I remember correctly. And someone from Japan visited AJ. That person is actually eBay's niece. So yeah, I believe that Akira developed some kind of crush towards AJ. But yeah, AJ still in love with Ash apparently. So AJ is working as a photographer and he's preparing for his exhibition in the US, and it seems like both Shing and AJ couldn't really forgive themselves because of the things that happened to Ash 7 years ago. But it seems like their soul is still stuck in that 7 years ago timeline. They couldn't really moving forward because they couldn't really accept the fact that Ash is already gone, and the fact that it wasn't anyone's fault. That's just how fate works. And even at the time when Akira wanted to visit the public library, AJ was kind of taken aback because it will reminded him of the presence of Ash, because the library was one of Ash's favorite place in the city. And Shing noticed that, so Shing was the one who accompanied Akira to the library and so on. And then, while preparing for his exhibition, one of his coworkers asked if he wanted to display Ash's picture, and AJ said no. And that kind of sparked something inside of Akira. Who the heck is this person called Ash? So she asked around and she finally got an answer that Ash was basically a soulmate to AJ, and AJ couldn't really move forward because that person is now already gone. So by the end of the day, Akira also learned that this Ash person is actually a man, and the three of them, Shing, AJ, and Akira, they went to Cape Cod, the birth town of Ashlings. And then AJ told Akira the truth about Ash, and yeah, at that moment I believe that AJ was ready to move forward, because it's been a long time, and it's been a long time that the presence of Aishling haunting him, both AJ and Shing. So it is really the time to accept his death and moving forward. At last, AJ did display Ash's picture in his exhibition, and the title of that picture was actually called Dawn. And Dawn, I believe, is the reference to Ash's name, because Aslan means dawn. And there's a parallel line there because Akira was also means dawn, and I think that's really beautiful from the creator of Banana Fish. I really love that small details. And I do remember that AJ once said that Ash is irreplaceable, definitely irreplaceable, but also Shing and Akira. And that made me think that everyone in this world, they hold a different purpose in life, in their life, and also in someone else's life. So it is kind of nonsense if you think about that you're unworthy or you're not important in someone else's life, because with you and without you, life is gonna be a really different story. So I think that's really beautiful, because kind of forgot what we worth sometimes, including me. Thank you, AJ, for reminding me that. I'm important in someone else's life. One thing that I really appreciate from the chapter Garden of Lights was actually the presence of Akira herself. Her presence really reminds me of Yachi from Haikyuu. Because here's the thing, Yachi from Haikyuu was a new character that introduced into the show, and she had zero knowledge about volleyball. So at the beginning of the story with Yachi, she learned a little bit more and more about volleyball, and that's also kind of a foil to the story, and that's also a way for Furudate Sensei to introduce the world of volleyball even better to us, the reader. That was a really clever way to introduce the world of volleyball to us, which wasn't a volleyball expert at the beginning, including me. I wasn't a volleyball expert at all, but because of the appearance of Yachi, I knew more and more about volleyball. Because if it wasn't for the appearance of Akira, we wouldn't really learn about what happened 7 years later in their life. So thank you Akira, for coming into the story and becoming a great foil for us and allowing us to learn a little bit more about Ash and also the other character 7 years following the death of Ashley. So yeah, for me, reading those 2 chapters, I didn't really feel sad, but I do feel a little bit bittersweet, because up until today, I still won't accept the fact that episode 24 was actually canon, and I still couldn't really believe that that episode was actually existed. But reading these 2 chapters, it's just like a really hard slap in the face that yeah, Ash is really gone. You just have to move forward with life. And it kind of reminds me that it's not the end of the world. If that makes sense, no? I know that they're only a fictional characters, but I feel like a part of me, a part of my soul was actually with them as well. So every single thing that happened in the story, it kind of affected me personally as well. I don't know why. So I'm really grateful to read these 2 chapters. So thank you so much for a lot of you who recommended me to read this after story. I'm just gonna continue to moving forward, just like AG and Shing and everyone else in the story. And I made a coffee page, so if you like this kind of content, then consider giving me a warm cup of coffee. I will link the coffee page in the description box. So thank you so much for accompanying me throughout this whole journey of Banana Fish, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye.